Today we're going on the water. We are going to be learning, as you can tell by my outfit, about fish, okay? And all of these amazing, beautiful animals that make up the actual group of fishes, okay? Now, what are fishes? Okay, fishes are special vertebrates. That means they have a vertebral column, very good. Okay, they have special organs and adaptations to actually survive in the environment that they live, which is in water. Okay, now the science or the branch of science that focuses and just specializes on the study of fish is known as ichthyology. So if you want to study fish for the rest of your life, ichthyologist is your career. Okay? Now let's look at some of the characteristics that actually make up fish, right? That all fishes have in common. Of course, they have a body that is adapted to water. Okay? They are considered ectothermic. Ectothermic means that the internal temperature of the animal is regulated by outside factors like their environment. Okay? They do not possess internal metabolism that keeps them warm. Okay? What they do is that their internal temperature is very much similar to the environment in which they are found in. Okay? Now, like you all know, fish are usually, not 100% of the time, but most fish are covered in scales. And most of the time, those scales are hard. Okay? Now, they do have an internal skeleton. That's why they're vertebrates. Okay? They have fins for locomotion and maneuvering. That means that their fins are very important to help them move around. Okay? And they have a two-chambered heart. Unlike us, that we have a four-chambered heart. They actually have only two. Okay? Two-chambered heart, and they have those special organs for breathing that we know they're called gills. Okay? There's three major groups of fish. You're going to have those that are jawless fish, as the name says. They have no jaw. These are known as the agnatha. Then you're going to have those that majority of their actual endoskeleton is made out of cartilage. Those are the cartilaginous fish. These are known as the chondrichthyes. And then you have the osteochthyes. These are what we know as bony fish. Okay? Now, the agnatha and the osteochthyes, you're going to have, of course, other groups under that group. But for majority of the time that we're learning about fish, you are going to look at three specific groups: the agnathas, the chondrichthyes, and the osteochthyes. Let's start with agnatha. Agnatha, like I said, are jawless fish. And like the name tells us, they have no jaw. We can actually argue, or some scientists argue, that at least for the hagfish, they shouldn't be considered even fish because they do not possess all the characteristics that all the typical fish possess. However, they do possess the four main characteristics that compose or make up the phylum of vertebrates. Okay, so like I said, they have no jaw. Their bodies are not covered in scales. So they have slim, slender, slimy bodies, very much like snakes, but underwater. Okay? Their skeletons are made of cartilage, and there's two kinds of jawless fish. You're going to have the hagfish and the lamprey. Both of them look a little weird, almost like alien-like pictures of fish. But here you have this handsome fellow, the agnatha. The hagfish, I'm sorry. The hagfish, like I said, no jaw. They're considered very primitive. They're fewer in numbers due to the inability of them competing with jawfish. I mean, they have no jaw. So, and they're competing in an environment with multiple animals that have really strong, mighty, versatile jaws. So, of course, they're on the short end of they draw the short end of the straw. So, there are fewer numbers in that case. They feed by suction. They have a round mouth, usually with rows of teeth in it. And like I said, no fins, no scales. Okay? Let's look at the hagfish. This is the hagfish. Now, I have attached on the slides two cool videos about the hagfish. One discusses all the different characteristics of hagfish, and you get to see some in action. And this one is a cool 2-minute video about Richard Hammond actually going in a pool with just one hagfish, and that hagfish produces so much slime that it covers his entire body. Now, why would a small animal like that produce so much slime? Actually, there are lots of studies with them and about the slime. That slime currently is being studied for multiple medical uses because of what it does. It's super strong, very versatile, and they produce so much of it, okay? Now, this is a collectible card, but like I said, I'm sorry, went backwards. This is a collectible card, but like I said, alien-like, this was kind of the reputation that the hagfish has, okay? No jaws, very primitive. They put them as vicious hunters when really they're not, okay? They do have really big glands that secrete that mucus, that slime that I was just talking to you about. Okay? This one here is the lamprey. Perfectly round mouth, rows of teeth inside. These animals are more parasites, okay? They actually, what they do is, if you look at them, they have that snake-like look. No fins, no scales. That they look like a vacuum when you actually take a look from the side. Actually, I have one here. It's almost like a vacuum there. Once that mouth is attached to another fish, it just latches on and then it just sucks the nutrients out. That's why they're considered parasites. Okay? Now, they reproduce quite often, and they have become a really big problem for many fisheries, especially in the Great Lakes and things like that, because they feed on fish, so they kill the fish and they multiply often. So you're gonna see in this video what are some of the cautions and laws that have been set out to actually deal with the lamprey without killing the fish, because that's the whole purpose of it. Okay? Now here you have a picture of how it actually feeds. Now here you have what the regular typical size of them are. So they're not really big, you know, they're like a snake size, pretty much a regular snake size. And what they do is that they actually latch on the fish and then they suck until they kill it. So those of you that actually go fishing, you might have caught a fish that has that perfectly round cut or mark left behind on their skin, and that could actually be a lamprey. So you might be actually familiarized already with lampreys. Okay? Now, this is a cute picture. The lamprey was to cuddle with the fish. Do you want to cuddle with a lamprey? They really do not harm humans unless they're extremely starving, I'm guessing, right? But so far, no records of lampreys actually causing harm to humans. So we might be okay. Now let's look at the second class, or the second group of fish, okay? This is class chondrichthyes. Now the chondrichthyes are really pretty, beautiful animals that we either love or fear, or maybe a little bit of both, right? These are the sharks, the mantas, the skates, okay? These are beautiful, majestic animals that their entire body, or not the entire body, but most of your body is made out of cartilage. But they do have hard bone and really important key components. Now with this class, I actually am giving you a challenge. I like the Baby Shark song. I don't know about you, but get up, dance, record yourself dancing the Baby Shark song, and you will get extra credit in my class. So let's see who actually takes up that challenge and prepare to dance up Baby Shark. Do, 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 do. That's as far as I'm going. But go ahead, do your videos for extra credit. Let's look at the characteristics for class chondrichthyes. There are around 1,000 species in this class of fish. Okay. Now, in this, the species in this class have a very flexible skeleton, like I said. mostly made out of cartilage, and they have hard bone in key parts. Like we will find their vertebrae, we can find their jaws, and we can find the teeth. This is what explains why when we look at fossils, we can find fossils of different fish, but for sharks, we usually have the vertebra, the jaw, or the teeth, because that is where they have the hard bone. They don't have hard bone anywhere else, just in those key parts, okay? Now, some of the characteristics of chondrichthyes, in this case, let me step on this side, okay? They have paired fins, they have hard scales, they have, actually their hard scales actually are very similar to sandpaper. So you can actually, if we were to pet, right, a shark, and we can, in special places, in special conditions, all control, and mantas, when you actually touch them from the head towards the tail, you will find them really soft. But when you actually pet them from the tail towards the head, you can actually feel that roughness, like a sandpaper effect. And depending on how rough it is, then you can actually cut yourself with it, okay? They, just like all fishes, have a two-chambered heart. Doesn't matter how big they grow, they have a two-chambered heart, because that's what all fish have, okay? They have a pair of nostrils. Most of the species have between 5 to 7 gill slits on each side of their body. And some species produce egg cases, while other species actually lay their eggs internally and keep them inside. We learned that on our past class when we talked about ovoviviparity, right? They lay eggs, but they keep them inside. Some sharks have the ability to give live birth, but it's because the eggs are inside and the actual baby shark comes out. Okay, we can see it. Here is kind of a gruesome picture, but it is what we see out as posters out there. Okay, now, like I said, a shark's mouth contains jagged rows of teeth. Now, sharks have multiple rows of teeth. Usually they use the first 2 rows for feeding, and all the other rows are there for replacement. So if a tooth is broken off, it is hurting, it is old, it doesn't work very well, they can easily get rid of that tooth and replace it with a brand new teeth. So they really don't have to be taking too much care of their teeth, because they have endless rows of replacement for those teeth in the front leg. Okay, now let's look at this. Cute, interesting facts about sharks. Sharks spend most of their time hunting for food. Sharks are opportunistic animals. But lately we have discovered videos where actually attest, or give testimony of how smart they can actually be. And they have, some species more than others are social, and they can actually almost like plan an attack and plan a frenzy where they all get to feed, okay? But majority of the time they're just moving around looking for food, okay? Anything that smells like food. Now, it was believed that sharks had poor eyesight. Lately, it's been discovered that that is not the case, at least not in all kinds of sharks, okay? Not in all species of sharks. They actually like hunting at dawn, dusk, and at night, because of course, they have the perfect colors for blending in with the water, right? So they can actually see prey before the prey sees them. Now, they have really special organs, like they have special organs that conduct electricity around their nostrils, which is pretty cool, okay? And they have that lateral line that all fish have, which detects vibrations and changes in the water, changes in pressure, changes in temperature, changes in just the current. And that's how they can actually understand what is happening around them. So that's really cool, okay? But curious things, they're always looking for food, and they like easy food, right? But once there was a shark that was found to have a raincoat, 3 overcoats, and a license plate in his stomach. That was just one shark. So I don't know where he got all the coats from. He thought they were food and he ate them. Okay? Now, if you look closely, I know not everybody likes them, but they are really majestic, beautiful animals. Look at this beauty. This is a what? A great white shark. Correct. Very good. Okay. Now, of course, we have all heard the story about Bethany Hamilton, the 14-year-old surfer that was attacked by a shark or was confused. They confused her with a seal and she lost an arm. And instead of letting that kind of end her life there, it actually did not get, it did not spoil her dreams. She continued surfing and still does today. Okay? Pretty cool story to follow. Okay? Now let's look at the rays and the skates. Rays and skates, they have really key little details that distinguish them. For the majority of them, these are beautiful animals that you get to see. I have to say, I encountered one of these on one of my diving expeditions in Puerto Rico, and I really did not like it that much. It was gorgeous, beautiful, majestic, and very intimidating. It was one of the few times that I've actually been scared. Okay, it just looked very intimidating. Now, I've dove before with sharks, and the manta, this manta was the one that scared me the most. Okay, but here you have. How do we know the difference between a skate and a ray? And I know that you can't really see it well on the video. You will be able to see them on the slide. Okay, manta rays have no thorns or buckles in the midline of your body. Skates do. So when you look at the midline, little spikes and spines, if you see them, those are skates. If they don't have any, then those are manta rays. Okay? Now, and if one other big difference is the actual pelvic fin. This one is a pelvic fin and it's complete. This one is what we know as a bilobe. Okay, so that means it has like two little lobes, while this one is just one. Those are two of the main differences between a skate and a ray. You're going to see more as you actually study the slides. Okay? Now let's go to the bony fish. Bony fish are the most varied in the group of fish. They are anywhere between cute and colorful and others very dangerous. You have the eels. Did you know that eels are fish? Yes, they are fish. Did you know that seahorse are fish? Yes, they are fish. They don't look like your typical fish, but they are fish. So you're going to have those that are actually very dangerous. You're going to have those that look like a weird blob. I mean, this cute little guy, not the most handsome there, but still quite cute, I would say. Okay, so they're going to have lots of variation, lots of colors, and it all depends, their size, their shape, their colors. It all depends on where they thrive, where they live, what kind of habitat do they have. Okay, now the octiothys, properly referred to as the bony fish, their endoskeleton, they are hard-bound fish. Okay, they have cartilage in just certain types, but majority of their endoskeleton is actually made out of hard bone. Okay, there are about 45 orders and over 435 families, over 28,000 species that we know of. Okay, that's without counting the ones that we haven't discovered yet. Considering that the ocean, we only know about 5% about our oceans. And 95% of our oceans have not been seen or discovered yet. We know more about space than we actually know about our oceans. So far, these are numbers that are constantly changing because there's more discoveries to be made. So, get your sciences look, become become a marine biologist, become an ichthyologist, and find those fish and discover more, right? Now, like I said, there's great variety of shapes and colors in them, and it all depends on where they live. Okay, the fish, all the fish have different kinds of movements. Actually, if you have fish at home, you have a fish tank, you will see how they all have unique little movements that are very typical of them. And those movements are always related to the way that they obtain food. Okay, now here you have a poster of the anatomy of fish. It shows you the internal structure of a fish, an internal structure of a chondrocyte, in this case a shark, and an internal structure of the a jawless fish, which in this case is the hagfish, so that you can go back and you can compare the differences between them. Okay, this is majority made out of cartilage, just like this one. Okay, this one has a big jaw and a vertebra. This one does not. Okay, and then here you have the skeleton and all the different organs in there, because there's very different, there are a lot of similarities between them, but there are some organs that are very unique to each group, so that it enhances their survival, of course. Okay, now let's look at the anatomy of fish, or key components. We have the fins. Now, fins are those thin things that stick out of the body of every animal that lives in water. Okay, those are actually fin. Their main purpose or function is locomotion. Okay, there's 6 types, and their types, the name of the fin is dependent on where the fin is located. So the pelvic fin is located near the pelvis. The anal fin is the one that follows the anus. The caudal fin is the one that becomes the tail, or the ones that we see in the tail. Dorsal fin in their dorsal side. Okay, pectoral fins are the ones that you see on the side. Okay, so depending on where they are, that's where they're fin. Here we have another one of comparing a cartilaginous fish with a bony fish. One of the main difference between them is the function of their fins. See, in bony fish, the fins are used for just moving and maneuvering, getting in and out, going up and down and sideways, so that they can move quickly to avoid being food for other fish. And in sharks, fins actually are more for lifting, like a plane. They actually, because sharks, they do not have a swim bladder, so if they stay without moving, they sink to the bottom of the ocean. Okay, so those fins actually provide almost like a surface area for them to give them that lift, very similar to what airplanes do for flying. Okay? Now here you have another comparison between cartilaginous and bony fish that you can go ahead and read when you have your slides up. Here we have a picture of a fish, bony fish anatomy. This right here is what I want you to pay attention. This is known as a swim bladder. And no, it is not to contain their urine. This swim bladder is actually, right here, like I said, is actually what they use for buoyancy. Now, who remembers what buoyancy is? Is the ability to almost to float, right? That is buoyancy, the floating. So depending on that swim bladder is what allows fish to go higher or deeper down in the ocean. The more air it has, the higher up in the ocean they can go. So that means they can stay at superficial level. The less air, so they will release that air, that gas is released through their bloodstream, and as they release the air, they have the ability to sink and go deeper in to deeper depths in the ocean. Okay, that is the main purpose of the swim bladder. Now, sharks do not have a swim bladder, so they actually have to use other mechanisms. Okay, let's look at this special organ. This is called the lateral line. Now, here we have the shark is marked in red, and up here We have that bony fish right there as these are sensory organs, very similar to our nerve cells. Actually, makes up their nervous system, right? These are like pores. They have pores all along in a very specific line, all along their body that goes from their tip of their nose all the way to the end of the tail, okay? And this is what they use to detect those vibrations and those changes in the water that allows them to survive and to thrive in their environment, okay? Now, you're gonna have those fish that are light-producing fish. Many deep-sea fish have light-producing organs develop parts of their skin, okay? And they can actually have appendages that produce that light or exhibit that light. And usually that light is to either attract prey. It's also been discovered that they use it for communication among their own species. So the female and the male can actually communicate, and even, right, among their own. Now you have special electricity organs, and this is very common for example, electric eels, okay? Now, other fish have electricity producing organs developed from their muscles in their eyes, gills, or trunk. So you're gonna have them in different ways depending on the species. Some species use this to stun their prey so that they can eat it later, or they can actually use it to stun their predator and escape. Now, there's a really cool video that you get to see, and you're on your slides, about how exactly does this electricity is produced, okay? And of course, here you have cute little, I said talk, or Vinny here gives you 200 volts. So, it's cute little Jacqueline eels, okay? So, if you have any questions related to fish, please email me and let me know. Your assignments are going to be posted in Schoology following these. So use these to answer all your questions, worksheets, do your work, and I'll see you during our conference time. Love you. Bless you.